Texas puts on a wild show even when there's not a championship on the line. Now all three series come to town with titles up for grabs. Kligerman is clinging while Peters is quietly stalking. Dillon was the leader by a single point, but now the hunted becomes the hunter. Don't engrave the name just yet. This hardware is still unclaimed. In this state, football is a huge deal, but the biggest blitz in Texas will likely take place on this playing field tonight. Welcome to NASCAR's version of Friday Night Lights. Hello, everyone. I'm Krista Voda. Welcome to the setup from Texas. Yes, we are under the lights, but when it comes to the championship battle, it is high noon and a shootout is on. And what a difference a week can make in attitudes, in outcomes, and most importantly, in our storylines. How did we get here, and who is still in this title fight? He was the points leader for much of the regular season. Timothy Peters has won a couple of races, but really hasn't done anything wrong. Ironically, the veteran has been under the radar compared to the two 20-somethings he's battling. Peters starts 14th tonight. Now, it looked like James Busher was the one who was going to plummet. Instead, a blown tire may have deflated Ty Dillon's championship chances. The rookie, who regularly wears a cowboy hat, needs the ride of his life in Texas. But now it's the native who sits in the driver's seat. James Busher was the one with the ill-handling truck last week. He held onto the reins and climbed back into a top 10 finish. So now the big question, can Busher hold off those challengers for the next 3 weeks? As we saw in Martinsville, this thing can swing wide open in a snap. It could happen again tonight. Last week, the championship picture completely altered.
Whenever the trucks visit Martinsville, you're bound to see some beating, banging, and some tempers flaring. Last week was no exception.
Ty Dillon and James Busher, the top two in points. Green flag in the air. We're underway in Martinsville.
Peters looked strong and had the truck to beat, getting the pole and leading the first 58 laps.
Timothy Peters out in front. Harvick runs second.
Last time we were on a half-mile track for a 200-lapper, what Timothy Peters do? He just let them all.
Ty Dillon was in control of the lead for the championship by 1 point. And with a tough time in practice, James Busher seemed to look even further away.
James Busher also has a loose race truck, but just in the center. That's really the only issue for him right now. And his truck is already so much better than where they started in practice on Friday. He feels like he has a good truck, but has to help that loose condition in the center.
We've lost a couple of spots this lap.
James Busher right now is on the way backwards. He has fallen all the way to the 22nd position.
The 31 would struggle to find grip and go a lap down. But with a timely yellow, he would get lucky and get the lucky dog and a chance to get his truck right.
They're making a chassis adjustment, wedge, and also making the tire change. James Busher, when this caution came out, he said on the radio, whew, that's what we needed.
Meanwhile, the race and the championship would appear to be in Dillon's hands. But on lap 151, the three would have some trouble of its own.
Pop the tire, keep it all easy, come on.
Ty Dillon has got a right front tire down, Joe. The point leader made some contact. He's got it back underway, but he's torn up the nose. The right front tire is flat on the rim.
In the end, as the Cup regular took the checkered, Dillon would fall back to 28, and Busher would battle all the way back to 6th.
How huge of a change is this?
Each young man has driven a different path this season, each successful. Busher has been successful on wins. Dillon has rode consistency. You see him there leading with top 10s. Peters, a little of both. 2 wins, 13 top 10s overall. Their average finish really about the same. All three of these gentlemen could win the championship this season. It's 3 drivers with 3 races left to go. Busher, of course, starts on the front row tonight. Well, Ray Dunlap and Hermie Sadler are with these guys every single week. I know they have insight into who has the upper hand right now. Hermie, let's start with you.
Well, I want to catch up with Ty Dillon. Ty, I know you've talked about it all week. Very disappointing result in Martinsville. You ran well, though. What has been the mindset and the attitude at the 3 shop this week heading into Texas with 3 to go?
Pretty much forget and move on. You know, that's all we can do. It's unfortunate what happened last week, but we've had our head down digging, and we've got a really fast truck here tonight. Qualifying, we were almost too good. You know, we were a little tight, so I think it scrubbed a little bit of speed. You kind of got to be free to run fast in these trucks, the way you're wide open and qualifying at these mile and a halves like Texas. But I'm looking forward to tonight. We haven't had a truck that's been that secure in qualifying in a long time. So hopefully we can move on through these guys, and all we have to do is win races and put the pressure on 31 guys.
Is it more frustrating as a driver when technically you don't do anything wrong and you have bad racing luck, or when you make a mistake yourself? Well, it doesn't matter. You're in the spot you're in. You got to dig out of it.
Yeah, you know, it's I think it's a little bit easier when you just have some random thing go bad, because there's nothing. Nobody can put the blame on anybody on something like that. So it's easy for us to forget and move on, and hopefully we can run this Bass Pro Shop Chevy up front and give everybody something to cheer for tonight, and hopefully make something out of this championship again.
Well, there are a lot of 3 fans here tonight at Texas, and Ty Dillon hoping to get them standing here at the racetrack. Ray?
Well, I'm with James Busher, and he has won 4 races this year. All of those have come in the Honey Badger, which is chassis 214. He has that truck again tonight. I know you'd love to win at Texas. That'd be a big one. But here's my question, James. You guys finished 22nd at Charlotte. You finished 30th at Iowa. So do you race each of these races to go out and win, or do you say, if I get top 5s, we've got a championship wrapped up?
You know, I think we got to keep going after wins. If we settle for top 5s, I think we'll give up too many points. You know, who knows what could happen in these races. It turned around so quickly last week, it can happen again. So we have to go in with the mindset that we're going to try to win races, gain the most points we possibly can, and at the same time, don't make any mistakes. So that's kind of our mindset, and we're going to do everything we can to try to win another race here at Texas in front of my hometown crowd, and try to get great clips in victory lane. I think we have a truck fast enough to do it, but at the same time we have to race smart and think about the big picture. So we'll just see how it all plays out.
It's been a dream season, no question, with 4 victories, but how big would a win be at Texas? You've won over there on the dirt track, you've won out here on the little track, but not on the big one yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's 5 racetracks here. I've won on 4 of them. So this is a cool place for me to be able to come to. A lot of family and friends here that don't get to come to very many races a year, and you know, it'd be cool to win and let them all experience it with us, and also for me to get a win at my hometown track just for myself. I've been coming here for so many years I can't remember way too many memories to even remember all of them. So it's a cool racetrack for me to get to come to, and being a home track for Turner Motorsports as well. It would be a big win for us and help extend out a championship point lead. So could be a really big win if we can pull it off tonight.
All right, we wish you good luck. James Busher in the Great Clips, number 31. Hermie, who you got?
Well, I got our other championship contender, and that's Timothy Peters. Now, you got a few points to make up, and you didn't do yourself any favors in qualifying. You got some trucks to pass.
Oh, I think we got the Tundra to do it. You know, after this week, Hermie, it's been a great week. We've been to TX that builds the Tundras down in San Antonio. So we got all the employees down there that welcomed us with open arms, all for good luck tonight. So we got that momentum on our side. Yeah, it wasn't the qualifying lap that we wanted, definitely. But, you know, we worked really hard last night, and it seemed like everybody was all over the board as far as with balance-wise. So Butch Elton and all the guys on this 17 Tundra did a great job tuning me up and forward from here.
Well, everybody talks about the Turner Motorsports teammates, but Timothy Peters got a couple good teammates to draw him of himself, so look for Timothy to make his way to the front. Krista?
And you've heard from all 3 championship drivers. Still to come on the setup. Last week was more than a race. It may have been the difference in this year's title fight. But now that he's leading the points, is James Busher feeling the pressure? We tagged along with him yesterday to find out.
I'm not switching to defense. I'm staying on offense. Try to gain points is how you win championships.
And it was in this race, at this place, on this weekend last year when Kyle Busch drove himself straight onto the sidelines. What happened and how has Kyle Busch Motorsports changed 1 year later? The setup is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. By DuluthTrading.com, home of ballroom jeans. And by Falcon Tire. We get you going. One of the up-and-comers in the sport, Brandon McReynolds, will make his first career Truck Series start tonight. And what a truck to do it in. Casey Kane drove the number 4 to victory lane at Rockingham. Kyle Larson had a great run at Kentucky. Brandon starts 17. So a few different drivers have been behind the wheel of the number 4, but that's nothing compared to the number 18. 7 different drivers have tried to win in this truck this year. It hasn't happened yet. Kyle, the owner and driver, has come closest in second. Kyle is back in the truck tonight. It's only the second time this season that Kyle Busch has made a Truck Series start. That is hard to believe. Ironically, it was at this race last year when his career hit a turning point with a shot that was delivered and changed the title fight and left the NASCAR superstar on the sidelines.
And here comes Hornaday for second. Ooh, Chloe wide into turn 4. That moves Kyle Busch all the way up the racetrack. He has to catch it, running in the wall. Caution is going to come out. Kyle Busch not happy at all.
Down. Hey, calm down, calm down. Oh, goodness. Get off of him, get off of him, get off of him. Damn it.
Holy cow. Championship contender Ron Hornaday hard into the wall. Kyle Busch sends him in.
Tell you what, better sit his motorhome. So I'm going to come find him. And he's going to have to hold my watch. Because I'm going to whip his. He's the biggest whining little piece I have ever seen in my whole life.
But he knows I'm going for a point steal. I don't know why he didn't do it. But anybody got a cup card, they'll never win a championship again. I mean, this is just stupid.
If you consider Ron was in the championship, maybe Ron could have played it a little bit smarter on lap 15. You can't place all blame on one person. There was 2 people that got into it to begin with, and there was 2 people that ended it.
NASCAR has decided to maintain that parked position on the driver of the 18 truck for the balance of the weekend.
I think this is a pivot point for Kyle Busch. It could start to unravel his entire career. That's a story yet to be told.
You know, when you think about it, from that race in Texas last fall all the way up till last weekend, it had been 19 races that KBM had gone without a victory. That's the longest streak by far since this young organization. We usually see them in victory lane every 4 or 5 races. But Kyle's back in the truck tonight. And, folks, I promise you, I think he very well could be the favorite to win this race. They've got a very fast truck, had a great effort in qualifying. But Kyle has decided not to speak to us prior to his qualifying lap or after and didn't want to talk tonight in the setup. I certainly understand that because you don't want to spend a lot of time looking in the rearview mirror. There's no question Kyle Busch is one of the best drivers in all of NASCAR. My big question for me tonight is, if he gets to victory lane, am I going to interview him? The jury's still out.
And that's just another reason to stay tuned and watch this race. Kyle Busch starts 3rd tonight. Ironically, he has started 3rd 2 other times in a truck race here at Texas. He finished 2nd and 1st in both of those starts. He has another truck in the field tonight driven by Herman Quiroga. Herman's ready to go. The big thumbs up. He starts 24th. Well, tomorrow the trackside fun gets bigger in Texas. Kyle's brother Kurt, along with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., will join the show where anything goes. Get to know the drivers like never before on NASCAR Trackside tomorrow at 2 Eastern, only on Speed. Coming up next on the setup with only 3 races remaining, it's not just these drivers who are running out of time. So are we in our fantasy standings, and that may be tighter than our points battle. In fact, we have a new leader this week. Of course, fantasy mimics reality. James Busher is the new points leader on the track. It's the first time all season he's been leading the charge. Will he fold under the pressure or rise to the occasion?
I hope that teammates don't have to try to do anything to help each other win the championship. I think it should be truck versus truck.
The Wild Asphalt Circus has invaded Texas Motor Speedway. We are getting you ready to go truck racing under the lights. Eric Almirola is back in the field tonight. He did not get the finish he wanted in Talladega, but he was top 5 at a similar track to Texas, Atlanta, earlier this year. Almirola starts 7th. But nobody has been better at the mile-and-a-half tracks than James Busher. He's won half of them, and check out the bonus points. 22 scored at mile-and-a-half tracks this year. That's 1 point more than the entire differential between he and Ty Dillon. But now James Busher is dealing with something that he has not had to deal with all season. Clean air, at least in terms of the points. You see, Busher is leading the points for the very first time all season. How does he feel about that? How has his truck been feeling here at Texas? We followed along in Thursday's practice sessions. James Busher is most certainly in our spotlight.
Winning races has been a lot of fun this year, and I think that beginning of the season we had a goal of winning races and winning the championship that we didn't do last year, and I think we have a good shot to gap out that championship lead this weekend.
Fall back. All right, I'll clear right there. 30.09. That's P4. Fast is a 29.87. 6 free. Entry to center. Kind of like we normally fight here. Just bring it to us. We're going to sit here for a minute, and we'll make one adjustment here.
We got a good baseline in the first practice, got a good direction on where we needed to go with our truck. It started off pretty loose.
The 30.31 right there. Pretty sporty. Almost think see it for a little bit and let the sun go down here for a few minutes.
The second practice was, track conditions were more like what they'll be tomorrow night for the race. So we didn't want to burn our tires up in the first practice. We wanted to save what we could.
All right, bud. Coming your way here, Roger. 61 and then a 64. Feels pretty good. I don't know which way you would adjust on it because I was in the track pretty good there. When you pull in this time, the 3's got their generator sitting right there. So just keep an eye on that lamp. Maybe I got to move that. They can't leave that sitting there.
We are parked in the middle of 2 RCR trucks, but we're focused on the 31 truck and keeping the blinders on and focused on our deal and not letting it bother us.
You got to go real straight right here. They got that generator in the way again. I wish you could knock the out of that stuff when you come in. Rattle your cage. That's what they're trying to do. All right. I think it's still pretty good there. Starts to lose the front a little bit on exit, but I don't think it's anything unexpected. Well, good job, guys.
Made a few changes there that he really liked. He was pretty happy with it on old tires, and that's what's important here.
I feel like it should be good for the race. I don't know that we have a shot at the pole or not. Really happy with everybody on this team and the way everybody's working so hard at the end of the season and try to finish this deal off strong.
Well, it was very close to the pole. James Busher in the 31 on the outside of row 1. He starts second. Who has the pole? By the way, it's his teammate, Nelson Piquet Jr. This Sunday, Race Day is asking NASCAR fans to be a part of the broadcast. Make your voice heard in the Speed Live vote during the Ultimate Pre-Race Show at Texas. Tune in Sunday at noon Eastern and go to speed.com or download the new Speed app to get in on the fun. Still to come, who do you like here tonight? Is it maybe a young guy? What about a veteran, a championship contender, or a driver fighting for publicity? Plenty of agendas. We'll show you our Pick 6 when the setup from Texas rolls on. The setup is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. And by DuluthTrading.com, home of Ballroom Jeans. Brendan Gaughan is back in the number 2 truck this week. He'd be a great pick tonight. Gaughan won 4 straight races here in 2002 and 2003. So will one of us take him? Well, we have to show you our Truck Series Fantasy standings, and this is anyone's game. I mean, check this out. Ray continues to fall, but look who is now leading just by a slim 1-point margin. Michael Waltrip has never picked a winner. That means all of the drivers he's eligible to pick, yet he has been consistent. Michael leads the standings. Now, whoever makes the top pick each week gets to add his or her sticker to the helmet. And I say her because Denny Hamlin made me look very smart last week in Martinsville. I get my sticker on here. I'm going to put it right next to Michael. So there we go. I actually overlapped a little bit with Michael. Both of us have big hair. There we go. So it looks like, by the way, by a sticker count, 4 is the most. But we have a 3 to 4-way tie for 4. I believe Phil, Hermie, and myself all have 4 stickers on the helmet. Rick most certainly does not. And that means Rick, once again, picks first.
I'm getting a little bit tired of this piling on. I know that I haven't picked well so far. I've got some really good picks. They just haven't panned out. Tonight, I've got the best one ever. The guy who has won more races on mile-and-a-half racetracks than anybody in the history of the Camping World Truck Series. I am going with Kyle Busch to win the race tonight and take me out of the cellar. I'm going to be out of the cellar in Phoenix. Hermie.
Well, guys, I'm really upset that Johnny Sauter is not on the grid yet because he and I were going to sing a duet of God Bless America for a viewing audience at home. But He's not here, so we'll spare you with that. But I think this truck is going back to victory lane. He's always fast when he comes here. The 13th truck qualified 13th. I think Johnny Sauter goes to victory lane. Ray?
I have to tell you this, Hermie. Whenever Nelson Piquet Jr. got his first win at Michigan, it was a fuel mileage deal. It was a win, but his real breakthrough was at Vegas. This team was dominant there, and what I loved was watching him at Martinsville last week. He plowed his way through. It's a new driver, a new aggressiveness, and I think this driver with a pole-winning truck tonight is going to be in front and keep it in front. I'm going with truck number 30. How about you, Krista?
Well, you guys have really taken some good picks. So who's left? Well, I like the number 22 of Joey Coulter. He's raced here at Texas 3 times. He's finished 5th, 6th, and 3rd in June. By the way, he also finished 3rd last week in Martinsville. I know Martinsville, Texas, 2 totally different tracks, but Joey Coulter rides in here with momentum, and he starts 5th tonight. Let's go back up to the booth. Phil, who's your pick?
Krista, I'm going to pick a guy that this is his hometown track. This is where he was discovered by Steve Turner of Turner Motorsports. It's James Busher. He has chassis 214, like Ray talks about. He's won 4 times on the mile and a half this year. I can't believe he's all the way down here towards the lead that he's left. So I'm going to pick James Busher to get win number 5, increase his point lead on mile and a half.
Did the knucklehead tell you that it was 214?
The wingnut.
Oh, wingnut, I'm sorry.
Yeah, evidently you weren't watching at Bristol when Ty Dillon ran out of gas and experienced his only finish outside the top 20 to that point. What'd he do? He bounced back. I nicknamed him the comeback kid. He bounced back and won the very next week on a mile and a half track in Atlanta. He finished outside the top 20 last week for the 2nd time this season. What's he going to do here? He's going to bounce back. I know why I'm leading the points. Can y'all tell I got Botox?
No, thank goodness we cannot. You look good, though. Thank you, do. Krista, please take it away.
Yeah, I don't even know where you guys are going with that. I thought it was unbelievable that it took all the way to our last 2 picks, Phil and Michael, before we got a championship contender. That adds a whole nother layer of storylines to this race. So a lot of us think it won't be one of the championship contenders, Timothy Peters, Ty Dillon, or James Busher, who will win this race. A lot of drivers still looking for their first win of the season. Someone like Ron Hornaday, hard to believe he has not been to victory lane yet this year. Just about anything can happen at Texas. Last fall, Kevin Harvick drove a truck at Texas for the first time in 12 years and won. Kyle Busch, as we said, was parked. We have 3 drivers in the title fight and just 3 races left in the 2012 season. The next chapter will get written tonight at the Texas Motor Speedway under the lights. Anything can happen, and usually does at Texas. And the best part is, thanks to speed, you have a front row seat.
Texas soil has been branded to be the site for an epic battle. When the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series commands for their coveted championship crown, the fellowship within this series will crumble. Those worthy of hoisting the Grail will command the charge on Texas Motor Speedway. However, they'll have to wheel a heart of courage in order to power through the passage.
Green flag, go, go, go. We're underway from Texas. Green flag. Oh, trouble right in front of Johnny. In front of the leader. Can he avoid it?
The 3 truck has got the grill clean, and he is going to beat the 31 off pit road.
You know why we love truck racing so much? Look at this battle for the win here late in Texas.
Yes, you're doing.
Dillon is sideways. The 31 into the wall.
Play all behind your manners. Nothing stupid here. Now drive away and win this.
Who will grab the bull by the horns? Witness the drama unfold in the Winstar World Casino 350, only on Speed.
Welcome to Texas Motor Speedway, site of the next chapter in what is turning out to be an epic championship battle. A race trophy and a season title on the line tonight. Last time we were here, Busher and Dillon had an on-track scuffle. Will there be any bad blood with so much at stake? The Southern gentleman, Timothy Peters, the veteran of the championship group, quiet but effective, his hope still alive. Ty Dillon starts 9th. The rookie driver of the black number 3 has a fight ahead of him tonight. And fight is just what our points leader, James Busher, has done all year. More wins than anyone this season. Now the points leader for the first time this year, and he returns to his home track. He starts on the front row. Tonight's opening ceremonies begin.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the United States Army Reserve 1st Brigade, 95th Division presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Texas Motor Speedway Chaplain Father Jay Atwood offers tonight's invocation.
Almighty God, Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us, for the freedoms we enjoy in this country, and the men and women who defend those freedoms every day. We give thanks and salute the brave citizens who have been impacted by the storm in the Northeast, and give thanks for their courage, strength, and endurance, their valor, and their courage. And Lord, as we get ready to go racing, we salute them and dedicate this race to them and to all those men and women around this country and around the world who have helped them gathered to get together to be the heartbeat of this country in their place. Send forth your spirit and protection upon the drivers, the crews, and the teams as they go racing, and allow each of them to do the best they can to your honor and glory. This we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
And here to perform our national anthem, please welcome recording artist 412.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
People all over the country can relate to the statement, never quit, never underestimate what can happen behind the wheel of NASCAR's toughest series. The boys get us ready for the next step next.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is presented on speed by Pep Boys. Pep Boys does everything for less. Visit pepboys.com. Brought to you courtesy of Ford and the Go Further with Ford Night. And by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. We're getting ready for the Winstar World Casino 350, presented on speed by Pep Boys. Topics that we will be discussing tonight that will play a big point in this championship battle. One of the biggest topics is this racetrack, Wild West racetrack. We've come here more than any other racetracks on the circuit, so most people would think we'd be familiar with it, but it definitely will be a challenge they will all have to overcome. Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip, Rick Allen with you tonight. Michael, let's talk a little bit about this championship. With just 3 races still to go, James Buescher forged himself out front of this championship battle. What does he have to do tonight to hang on to that?
You know, in the Truck Series, Rick, no point lead is safe. Ty Dillon went to Martinsville last week. He only had a 1-point lead. I'm sure he thought, I might lose it. But am I going to lose it by 21 points? That's how far he trails Buescher now. But the same fate could face James tonight. In fact, it already has once this year, Rick. At Iowa, he wrecked and lost 31 points to our point leader. Like I said, no point lead is safe in trucks. And Phil, we're going to do some high-speed truck wrestling. I mean, these trucks are going to be running over 185 miles an hour down in the corner. How are you going to be safe with that kind of speed?
Michael, this is a challenging racetrack, as you know. They're going to start down on the bottom. That's going to be the fast fast way to go, and then they're going to move up, and they're going to move all the way up. They're going to be all over this racetrack, and then they're going to have to manage their tires because there is some give up here. These tires will give up speed. They've got 3 sets of tires in the pits, 1 on the truck, so they have to manage that, and they have to be flawless on pit road. A pit road speeding penalty could take somebody out of the championship fight.
And Michael always talks about the confidence in drivers' eyes. I've seen all 3 of our championship contenders. All 3 are confident they can still win this 2012 title. Let's get this race underway. We go for the command.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here to give the command for tonight's race is Assistant General Manager of Winstar World Casino, Michael McEwen.
Drivers, start your engines!
We always talk about the next race is the most important race of the season. Well, it's Texas Motor Speedway. 3 races remain in the chase for the championship for the trucks. Racing under the lights for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Texas Motor Speedway, the site for this one. As we're just 3 races away from the end of the 2012 season. A great points battle shaping up. And a great race obviously in front of you. The starting grid will roll across the top of the screen. Turner Motorsports has the front row locked up with Nelson Piquet Jr. and our points leader, James Busher. We're going to follow along with a few different drivers, actually ride along with a few different drivers. Guys, take it through them.
Yeah, let's hop in with Ron Hornaday. He starts 22nd in the Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff Chevy. Ron's won a race in every one of the last 7 years, yet to win this year. Finished second once, hadn't got to victory lane though.
Mikey, let's ride along with Ty Dillon. 2nd place in points, as you mentioned, lost that point lead last week at Martinsville because of a broken sway bar arm. 21 points behind here. He's 1 on a mile and a half the Airstreet at Atlanta, and he will start his Bass Pro Shop Chevy from the 9th spot.
Let's hop inside Kyle Busch's Dollar General Toyota. He's also won a race in each of the last 7 years, hasn't won this year. He also has finished second once, but hadn't got to victory lane. And he and Ron Hornaday had a lot in common in this introduction, and they had a lot in common last fall, too.
Yes, they did. Let's also ride along with our point leader, James Busher. He will start his great clip Chevy from the front row. He said how much a win would mean to him here. This is his home racetrack, and he's never got to victory lane on the big oval. He has all the other racetracks around here.
And before the green flag flies, let's go back down trackside and pit road to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, one of my favorite things about the Camping World Truck Series is seeing young drivers get an opportunity to show off their talent. And over the years, we've seen some great ones. How about Kurt and Kyle Busch, maybe Greg Biffle or Carl Edwards? Well, I want to add a name to that list. If you haven't been watching much lately, keep your eye on young Ryan Blaney. Let's show you a list of how many drivers have had some great starts to their career. In their first 6 races, these guys have been pretty impressive. Of course, Mark Martin was already a superstar. Ron Hornaday and Mike Skinner, they started this series back in 1995. But how about Ryan Blaney? An average finish of 7.1. Very impressive with a win already this year and a finish no worse than 11th this season. I'm telling you, this young kid is the real deal, and I think tonight the 29 can go to victory lane. Hermie?
Well, Ray, early tonight in the setup show, we talked to our championship contenders, James Busher, Ty Dillon, and Timothy Peters. But I'm not so convinced we need to sleep on Parker Kligerman. Right now, he is 4th, 36 points out. Now, I know that's a full race, but we've got 3 races left on 3 tough racetracks, and if he could do it, think how cool it would be how he's doing it. Half the season in Brett Keselowski Racing, half the season for Red Horse Racing, and look at his starts and average finishes in both of these trucks. Remarkably consistent, and these guys have not given up yet. And if these other guys have any kind of trouble, they're going to invite Parker Kligerman back to the championship party.
Hey, what if we try to get a word with Parker since you talked about him, Hermie? Parker Kligerman, it's Michael Waltrip up in the speed booth. Do you copy, brother?
You guys put in and go in there after the race and get that truck ready for Phoenix. That's what championship caliber teams are made of. You guys are champions in my eyes. Let's go get the cowboy hats tonight.
Parker Kligerman, I like what you're saying. You're going to go get you a cowboy hat. You got a truck you can win with, buddy. You're right in this championship battle. If these guys in front of you slip a little.
Got a call you said there, Mike. Yeah, we got a real fast truck here in our number 7 Toyota Tundra. camp horse around on the front. Chad Kendrick and all the guys did a great job getting this thing together. We're just going to go out here and just got to take our time to get up front. The fun thing about this is that normally this race is really cold and flat out, but it seems to be a lot hotter here this weekend, and it's laying a lot of rubber on the track, which is causing it to be a lot slicker out here. So we'll see what happens.
I appreciate it, buddy. You've been fun to watch this year. Have a good night.
Thanks, buddy.
Let's take a look at the numbers for Texas Motor Speedway and our Ram track description. This 1.5-mile racetrack, and it's so fast. We talk about it every time we come here.
It was built for speed. 24 degrees of banking. You see 5 degrees on the straightaway. Fast speeds, upwards of 190 miles an hour on the straightaways.
You can see these guys are going to go 147 laps. The pit window is somewhere between 50 and 55 laps, Phil, but I sure do love the way these Goodyear tires are falling off. These guys are sliding all over the racetrack, and it's going to be a fun race.
That was our Pep Boys race analysis. Again, 36 trucks lined up 2 by 2 as we get ready for the start of this one. An all-Turner Motorsports front row. Nelson Piquet Jr. has opted for the outside line as he will lead this field to the green flag tonight. James Busher on the inside line. I asked James before this race got underway, are there any team orders as far as you leading the lap? He said, we don't know. We'll find out when the green flag drops. It's in the air. We're underway from Texas. A great start for Nelson Piquet Jr. as he has moved out in front of that 31, working their way through 1 and 2.
Paluto jumped out in the 3rd spot, but he stayed up high, and Kyle Busch grabbed that 3rd spot. Now he's going for Busher for 2nd.
Yeah, if there were any team orders, Kyle Busch is going to mess that up. He's got his sights on the lead. He doesn't want to mess around and let Busher and Piquet play any games. He wants to get out front in a hurry.
Kyle Busch already up to 2nd, all over the back bumper of that 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr. Nelson Piquet wins the race for the first lap. He gets a bonus point, but Kyle Busch all over the back bumper as they go through 1 and 2. You
could see Nelson slides up the hill a little bit, opens the bottom door for Busch, not able to drive in there though.
You know how much Kyle Busch would love to get to victory lane. Kyle Busch Motorsports has not been to victory lane this year with that 18 truck. They won last week with Denny Hamlin, but that was the 51 truck that only runs part-time.
Kyle Busch has not been to victory lane in the Nationwide Series or the Truck Series in 2012 and would like to change that statistic tonight.
We talked about the multiple grooves here at Texas Motor Speedway and how we said they would start low and begin looking high. Kyle tried to go high right there. We saw him come off the gas. Exiting turn 2, though, that truck got tight. He slid up the hill and had to back out of the gas.
Johnny Sauter on the inside of the 3 of Ty Dillon. John West Townley back there in the 09.
I talked to Ty Dillon right before the race, and I said, take a look at this right side of your screen. This happened just a moment ago. That's the 09 of John West Townley. Got middle of the racetrack.
Looks like he got a little loose getting down in the corner, Phil, and that opened the door for Crafton on the bottom, and Ty Dillon racing for a championship goes around the top side.
Right before that, on the right side of your screen, take a look.
Little tight action there. Looked like Ty was trying to go down to the bottom of the racetrack. Johnny Sauter was already there. I started to say, I talked to Ty right before the race, and I said, have you tried the top or the middle? He said, no, I've been right on the bottom, but I'm pretty sure I'll be up there sometime. He's already up to the top of the racetrack.
It's only lap 5.
Yeah, he was up there on lap 1 as well. And these guys just know that about Texas. They know that about these tires and the way these trucks handle, that there's all kinds of options. If you can't get it done on the bottom, then there's other places you can go.
Nelson Piquet has about a half a second lead over Kyle Busch. Then it's James Busher. Joey Coulter's moved up to the 4th spot. Miguel Paluto holding on to 5th. David Mayhew, Parker Kligerman, Eric Almirola, Matt Crafton, and Ty Dillon, your top 10.
Looks like that 18 truck of Kyle Busch is a little bit tight. His truck won't turn exiting the corner. We keep seeing him peeking up to the high side on the way off the corner, and he's not able to make any ground up there. See, Piquet's driving away.
Since the start of this race, Kyle Busch jumped up in the first 2 to 3 laps, all the way up to 2nd, right on the back bumper of Nelson Piquet Jr. But now that we've gone 6 laps, it looks as though Nelson Piquet Jr. is able to maintain that pace, and Kyle Busch has fallen off.
And how much easier does this week have to be for James Busher? Not only does he come home, he comes home with the point lead. Last week at Martinsville, he struggled all through practice, got a lap down,
fought his way back to a 6th place finish, but this week qualified up front, and he's closing in on Kyle Busch for that 2nd spot.
Practice up front. Here's a debut for that Ford truck right here. That's Brandon McReynolds, our buddy Larry Max. So Tom Bodine into the outside wall at the exit of 2.
Bodine very high coming off of turn number 2, scrapes the wall as he came out of 2. That allows Brandon McReynolds to have the advantage on the bottom of the racetrack, take that spot away.
What about Todd Bodine? He's won 6 times here. Brandon McReynolds making his first start. Brandon sees Todd run into the wall. You think, what do you think? Is this how I got to go to win one of these babies? I got to go that hard?
Maybe he was low enough he didn't actually see Todd hit that wall.
Early in this one, on lap number 8, there's the distance between 1st and 2nd. Nelson Piquet Jr. has a 1.4 second lead over Kyle Busch. James Buescher, Joey Coulter, Miguel Paludo, your top 5 in the Winstar World Casino 350. This is not a game at Texas Motor Speedway. Nelson Piquet Jr. in front of his teammate James Buescher was able to make the pass on Kyle Busch, take that 2nd spot away, but hasn't been able to close the gap too much on his teammate. The 1.7 second lead between the top 2 trucks. Kyle Busch has dropped back to 3rd. Joey Coulter holds on to 4th. And Parker Kligerman back there in the 5th position.
Guys, that's the truck I've had my eye on. He started in the 10th spot. A lot of talk in the garage area was that this was the best truck in happy hour last night. How did he do that? He was 20th fastest. Never made any mock qualifying runs, but his average time was the best of anybody in that last practice session. The guy said, keep an eye on this 7 truck. He's going to the front.
And did you hear how confident he was when he was talking to his team as he was riding around before the green flag? We're going to go get us a cowboy hat. We're going to win this race. He's driven from 10th to 5th. I'm starting to believe him. I think he's got a truck he can win this baby with.
And his teammate is just in front of him as far as the championship standings go. Timothy Peters currently 3rd in those championship standings, Herman.
Yeah, but Timothy Peters, Rick, does not like his truck right now. He qualified 14th, now battling Brendan Goff for the 16th position. He's been very, very loose to start this race. Crew Chief Butch Hilton is just hoping and telling Timothy Peters that the more they burn some fuel off, get more nose weight on this truck, they're hoping it's going to snug up. But right now, too loose to move forward for the 17. Ray?
And Hermie, I've been listening to the radio for Kyle Busch in that Dollar General Tundra. He said he's very loose in the center, so they're making some adjustments by turning on and off some of the blower fans on of his tires. He said he's pretty good on entry, but loose in the center. Keep in mind, his crew chief is Eric Phillips. Eric has 26 wins, Kyle with 30, but right now they're just cruising around.
And did you guys think that it sounded like those two hit when Kyle came up on that 0.8?
You know, we talk all the time about how critical aero is, especially at a track where you're running 180 miles an hour in a pickup truck. And that just tells you how much that truck was moving around. Even passing a lap truck, you need every bit of the downforce you got, because when some of it goes away, you got your hands full. Kyle had his hands full exiting turn 4.
Had to play with that throttle. Here we go. Caleb Gale's getting by the 29 of Ryan Blaney. That's a battle for the 13th position.
Cale Gill's got it now as Ryan Blaney's dropped back to the 14th spot.
That's Ryan Sieg running along with those guys too, so good battles inside the top 15. You can see Blaney just can't stick to the bottom. It looks like Sieg's got a good run up under him as well. Ryan's not being able to, Blaney that is, not being able to hold the bottom very well.
You can see that group is right in front of Timothy Peters that we were just talking about a few moments ago. Timothy back in the 16th spot.
And I talked with Timothy before the race as well, and he mentioned that in qualifying he was very loose. He said it was extremely loose in qualifying, but he thought that the track would gain grip because of the sun going away, obviously, and it cooling off a bit. But at the same time, it doesn't sound like he's got the rear grip that he needs right now.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's interesting. You heard his crew chief saying, burn some fuel off. That'll tighten it up. That puts more nose weight in the truck. That should make the thing not be quite as loose. And historically, the further you go at a place like Texas where there's a lot of tire wear, you seem to get a little bit tighter and tighter anyway. So those things should play into his hands, but we haven't seen any sign of it so far.
As we ride along with Ty Dillon. Ty right now up to the 8th position, gained 1 spot from where he started. These trucks have slowed down over a second of what they ran early on this run, and that's with only 20 laps now complete.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to be fun about this race when the caution flies after they've run 10 laps. What are we going to do now? I want tires really bad. I'm sorry, bud, you don't have any more. And that's how critical tires are, and tire management and conservation could play as a factor when this thing winds down.
147 lap race. We've completed 22 laps. We just crossed the start-finish line. We're on lap 22, completed 21. Again, out front, Nelson Piquet Jr. has a 2-second lead over his teammate, James Buescher. Kyle Busch running some of the fastest lap times, along with Nelson Piquet Jr. running in the 3rd spot. Joey Coulter's 4th, Parker Kligerman 5th.
You know, and there's a young man, James Buescher. He just wants this thing to be the most benign race in the history of the sport. Just have the cautions fly right when I need tires. Let's just run along here. Got a safe ride here in 2nd place. But they don't usually turn out that way.
No, they don't. They don't. He knows that his teammate right now has a little better truck. They need to work on it. Michael Shelton and his guys will work on that truck, try to tune it up a little bit, and see if he can run with that 30 truck.
Nelson Piquet Jr. has been fast. He was fastest in practice yesterday. Was able to win the pole, and now out in front and dominating. Texas Motor Speedway has over a 2-second lead over James Buescher. Tomorrow, the trackside fun gets bigger in Texas as Kurt Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. join the show where anything goes and normally does. Get to know the drivers like never before on NASCAR Trackside. Tomorrow, that's 2 Eastern, only on Speed.
Trackside's a fun show. You get to see a lot of personality of the drivers. I like that show.
A lot of personality.
There's no telling what they're going to do on trackside.
Winstar World Casino 350 presented by Pep Boys continues from Texas Motor Speedway. We have been green since the drop of the original green flag. 29 laps complete. We're on lap 30. And Kyle Busch has taken that 2nd spot away from James Buescher. So now it's Nelson Piquet Jr., Kyle Busch, and James Buescher in 3rd, right?
And you know what, Rick? Most of the trucks I'm listening to down here talking about a very loose condition, but that's not the case for James Buescher. He said he's tight in the middle, and he's really searching around for grip. So he's asked his crew chief, Michael Shelton, to watch his line on the racetrack and give him some times of the laps he's running. He said, I'm not really sure where the fast laps are right now, but he has dropped from 2nd back to 3rd. And Hermie, we've got a good battle on the racetrack between the 32 and the 3.
You're right, Ray. And it took Ty Dillon about 15 laps to work his way around Miguel Paludo in the 32, and 29's in the wall, guys. 29.
Ryan Blaney in the 29 into the wall, and that brings out our first caution. A lot of damage to the right side of that truck.
Hard into the wall. We hadn't heard anything about tire wear, but that has a look of
front tire, blue guys.
Classic right front tire failure. And you heard Ryan Blaney report that from his truck. Lost the right front tire, and that truck went hard into the wall.
Yeah, Ryan was running in the 16th spot. And that's after only 31 laps plus qualifying. So more than likely probably ran over something.
More than likely. We love these tires that Goodyear provided the guys here in Texas. They're everything we would want for a great race. So hadn't heard anything about wearing a tire out. So you just wonder.
He's way up high, running that high groove.
He's really up there where nobody has gone, I would think. So
that's not what caused it.
Yeah, he hasn't even hit the wall yet.
Oh, it must have happened on the straightaway.
Yep. Yeah, coming out of 4 on the quad over there.
But again, he's been up higher than probably anybody that we've seen, so maybe he picked up a little bit of debris up there.
And plus, they'll wear more if you run up there out of the groove where everybody else is as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the crews figure. They coming to pit road, Phil?
They got to come. They got to come.
I'm pretty sure you guys said what happens if the caution comes out in about 10 laps. That was on lap 21. Well, it's lap 31. So
we're gonna
find out
early and often, I think.
And we head down to pit road and Hermie Sadler.
Eric Almirola is bringing the number 5 truck to pit road. Richie Waters Motorsports, they are loose. He's been loose, and the truck has not been coming to him. They're going to put 4 scuffed Goodyear Eagles, Wranglers on this truck, Sunoco fuel. trying to tighten him up with an air pressure adjustment. Ray?
It's a bit of a quandary of what to do for James Busher. He is tight in the middle, but still a little bit loose on entry. They'll go to air pressure on the right side tires. They're going to hang 4 Goodyears on here. Pack it full of Sunoco fuel. You see that number 30 is on the very front, number 1 pit stall. And on the top of your screen, you see Kyle Busch. They are going with 4 tires there. Kyle is a 4 tight, has a little lack of grip, and it looks like Nelson Piquet will come in as the leader and leave that way.
7 spots lost by the 18 team, and that was because Kyle Busch slid through his pit box. Take a look. When he's coming in, he's got to have that front end inside the pit box, and he slides it through.
And that just goes to show you guys, he slid through the pit. The tires are wore, but that's how hard every one of these drivers try every second of a race. He come to pit road, he just gave it a little bit of gas to try to get all the speed he could get and the fastest pit stop, and it wound up costing him mightily.
Right through. You see he's got to back it up. He does. That takes a little extra time. Two by two, they're lined up. Winstar World Casino 350 presented by Pep Boys about to restart. It will be lap number 35 that they will be completing. We'll be on to lap 36 of the 147 laps. And does this fall into pit strategy now?
I think everything falls into pit strategy because of the tire wear and how much these things fall off. Everybody's really going to have to be on their game to make sure they get tires on the trucks for that sprint to the end.
And there's enough laps left. I don't think they can make it on one more stop.
Side by side, Piquet Jr., Busher, green flag back in the air. We're back underway at Texas.
Keep an eye on Joey Coulter. He pulls down to the inside to make it 3 wide.
3 wide going into turn number 1. That pushes the 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr. all the way up the racetrack. Battle for the lead as they come at it 2.
Piquet had to leave room for Busher in the middle. He had to move all the way to the top of the racetrack. Are they going to make it 4 wide?
3 and 4 wide as they go into turn 3.
Yes,
all the way down
Bill.
at the bottom of the track, the 88 of Matt Crafton had to check up a little bit, as did Joey Coulter in that 22. He's dropped all the way back to 6th already.
And he was sniffing the lead when they went into turn 1, and now he finds himself in the middle of a battle for the 6th spot. Eric Almirola around the outside of Matt Crafton. And look, there's Ty Dillon. He's trying to join that battle for the lead.
Very important lap here for James Busher. He was out front, led that lap. He gets a bonus point now. 1 step closer to that championship.
And bonus points have been very big for James Busher this year.
And 1.5-mile tracks have been very big for that young man as well. He has really dominated these tracks.
Now that his crew has been able to adjust on that 31, getting back out onto the racetrack, he's in front of his teammate Nelson Piquet Jr. Parker Kligerman running in the 3rd spot. Ty Dillon, closest competitor in the championship, is 4th, and Matt Crafton 5th.
4 of our top 5 ran their fastest lap of the race this last lap.
I just really like the way this 7 truck looks, guys. He can duck that thing really low exiting the corner. I think it's driving exactly like he wants it to. You can see he's running in the 3rd spot there, but as they wind laps off, put laps on these tires, he seems to be able to maintain his speed a little bit better than the rest.
Great pit work by Ty Dillon's bunch. He gained 4 spots.
Look at this. We're going to go 4 wide at Texas. And it looks like Matt Crafton thought he had room, but wasn't sure. So he just laid back a little bit. But we saw the 22 truck of Joey Coulter going for the lead into turn 1. And then he found himself in a 4-wide mess going into turn 3.
And now back to 9th.
Yeah, Joey Coulter's 9th right now after, as you mentioned, going for the lead going into 1. Nose to tail now, 1st through 4th.
Ty Dillon's beginning to really look around on this racetrack. We've seen him make a couple of solid runs off the corner by using that higher line. Kligerman seems to be content about anywhere he wants to go. We saw him really low the lap before last, that time in the middle of the track down in 3 and 4.
Kyle Busch has been charging toward the front after the mistake on pit road. He's back up to the 5th spot now, reeling in that 3 of Ty Dillon.
And he was the 3rd fastest truck on the racetrack while he was passing Matt Crafton.
Yeah, we heard Eric Phillips calling for adjustments on that 18 truck. So Kyle had reported what was wrong with it. The team was going to address those changes. Had a bit of a delay there as Kyle slid through the pit. But you know, with Kyle Busch driving your truck, reporting to you what the truck needs, those adjustments are going to be spot on, and he's going to get better and better all night long.
Germán Quiroga in the 51 on the inside of that 81 of David Starr. They're on teammates to Kyle Busch tonight.
Max Gresham in the 8 truck on the outside, red, white, and blue.
Germán had a solid run at Talladega. Raced clean all day long, wound up in the top 10 finish.
Sure did.
Great result for that young man, making his way around David Starr. Looks like he's not quite going to be able to make that pass, but strong down on the bottom.
Still good in NASCAR Mexico, 3-time champion of that series.
David Starr has been able to clear the 51 of Germán Quiroga and battle for the second spot. Nelson Piquet Jr. now has Parker Kligerman, as you guys talked about, a very strong 7 truck coming up on his back bumper.
I love this story of Parker Kligerman. Switched teams. Haven't seen the 7 truck perform anything near, like, I mean, they won Daytona, but I mean, lately they hadn't run all that well. He gets in it. And at Texas here, it looks like he's got probably the best truck. He's been that way a lot. Won Talladega, one of the most exciting finishes you could ever hope for. He and Johnny Sauter pushed from 21st and 2nd to the win in 2 laps. And then Parker proceeded to plant his stake in the infield.
He did. We were talking on speed earlier during the cup practice about how Clint Boyer and Brian Patty have gelled so well over at your outfit at MWR. And it's amazing. I mean, they had the whole winter to talk about it. Parker Kligerman had 1 week to blend in with this new team, and they've been good from the start.
I think Clint Boyer would have been a lot happier if he had just had 1 week, because he worried all winter long about whether they're going to be any good or not. Sometimes I love relationships that happen out of necessity, you know, and then that's exactly what happened here with Kligerman. They wound up together and they said, we need each other. Let's make the most of it.
We have to make this work.
Exactly.
So let's do it. And they have done just that. Parker Kligerman grabbed his first ever win in the Camping World Truck Series at Talladega earlier this year. Now wants to see that momentum continue here at Texas Motor Speedway. James Buescher in front of Nelson Piquet Jr., Parker Kligerman, Ty Dillon, and Kyle Busch, your top 5. Again, championship contender. James Buescher leading in his home state of Texas. Sunday NASCAR race day is must-see. Jimmy Johnson tells us if the championship is now his to lose. And our experts debate JJ versus Keselowski. Tell you if Kane and Boyer are close enough to strike. NASCAR race day fueled by Sunoco from Texas, Sunday at noon. Live on Speed.
Jimmy made a little bit of a statement today in qualifying, didn't he?
What about last week?
That was a statement too. That was a novel last week. Today was a statement.
But there's a lot of racing to go.
Yeah.
I love how it's shaping up.
Big gap between the top 2 in the Cup Series.
Totally. We saw how fragile a point lead is in truck, and I think it's the same deal in Cup. Those guys are all really good, but you can't expect just to race all the way through this chase without a problem, can you?
You wouldn't think so. You would think you would get a mulligan, but the way those guys have been doing it.
James Buescher trying to not only add a point for leading a lap, but he's been very strong since the drop of the green flag, and he's been able to take the lead and lead quite a few laps here early in the second run. Ty Dillon currently in the 4th spot. Hermie.
Rick, a little bit of drama with the championship contenders on my end of pit road. First, Ty Dillon concerned about the water temperature on this 3 truck, reported upwards of 280 degrees. So they've asked him to keep an eye on it and look for him when Kyle Busch completes his pass, or if he completes the pass, to try to get any debris that may be on the nose of this 3 truck. And he just reported 290 now water temperature on the 3 truck. Also, the 17 of Timothy Peters falling back after he gained a few spots on pit road. He's reporting a vibration in the front end of his truck, and he is suspecting he may have some engine woes developing as well. So got to keep an eye on the 3 and the 17 in the next few laps, Rick.
And we see the 3 trying to tuck in behind that 18, but I didn't see any debris on the grill of that truck.
I didn't either. Unless it's something microscopic there, you can see a pretty good look at it. It looks pretty clean.
can usually see if there's any problems with the opening, and it looks like Ty's all right.
And these guys have a great idea about how much grill opening that they can get away with. You hope if you're going to see 280, 209 degrees on the water temperature gauge, you're going to hope it's a malfunction of that gauge.
But generally, the gauge is right.
It usually is. But again, they know within reason. Next thing, does it sound like it's laboring a little bit?
I think it's just him having to work the gas pedal a little bit. The thing slid up the banking a little bit with Dylan, and sounds clean there.
Yeah.
Dylan running a little higher line now, up about the third groove here at Texas.
Most of these teams have the overflow at the base of the windshield, so Ty will be able to keep an eye on that. And if it starts pushing water out, then they may have to come to pit road and put some water back in that thing.
What about this battle for the 10th spot? All race long, Cale Gale has been solid. His truck's fast on the longer run. He's reeled in Timothy Peters, trying to work himself inside the top 10 after disappointing Martinsville last week.
Yeah, Timothy had talked about at the start of the race being so loose and dropped back into the 13th, 14th, 15th position, but after the pit stop, he's been able to get up into the top 10. But that battle for the top 10 heating up as Cale Gale all over the back bumper of Timothy Peters 17.
You could see the strong run that Cale Gale got off the corner, was able to drive right back up on the tailgate of Timothy Peters as they exited the corner. Peters looks like gets in the turn a little bit better.
The nice thing about this race, the little added length here, it's 220 miles instead of our normal 200 miles, about a mile and a half, and the extra set of tires, they'll be able to make a couple more swings at it. It looks like Butch Hilton's made some adjustments. That truck is better than it was on that first run. He's got a couple more adjustments to go.
Look at the momentum that Gale carries off the corner. He's going to look to the bottom.
Timothy Peters carrying the momentum up high, but it's the 33 of Cale Gale that makes the pass on the bottom of the racetrack.
That's a good move. Used the momentum off the turn, shot to the bottom on the entry, and was able to hold the bottom and complete the pass. It's really difficult. It's easy to get up beside someone. Man, it's hard to finish a pass in a place like this a lot of times, and Cale Gale did it perfectly.
Cale moved up the racetrack through 3 and 4. Timothy Peters dropped to the bottom of the track and closed the gap back once again. And you see almost a half a track lead that James Busher has over those two racing for the 10th spot. But Busher right now has a second lead over his teammate Nelson Piquet Jr. here at Texas Motor Speedway. Rick Hendrick has experienced the highs and lows of motorsports and life. Join us on November 11th for this speed exclusive. For the first time ever, the past and present drivers who captured almost all of Hendrick's Cup victories gather in one place to share personal and never before told stories about that journey of laughter, tragedy, and triumph. Beyond 200, the Hendrick Motorsports Story, November 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed. Welcome back. We're under our second caution. Smoke coming out from behind the 51 of Herman Quiroga. Looks as though an engine may have expired on this truck.
Yeah, there it is as he enters the corner there. A lot of smoke.
Now, Phil, does one of the cats I think you're going to have to beat to win this race, Kyle Busch, that's his team truck. Does that bring some concern into his mind about?
I think you got to worry about it a little bit, maybe in the back of your mind. But I think right now the more pressing concern is, hey, we've run about the same distance that we did the first go round. What did my truck do with the adjustments? What kind of adjustments do I need to make now for later on here? And no, we've got 82 laps to go. They're going to put another set of tires on. That means they're going to only have one more set in the pits, and we're going to have to run 82 laps on two more sets of tires.
And they haven't gone that far on a set yet. If you split that in half, that's 40, and they've only gone about 30. So you're right, Phil. A lot of second guessing will go on down in the pits.
Next variable coming onto pit road. They don't want to make any mistakes. Ty Dillon currently 5th and coming to his pit stall, Herman.
They talked briefly about 2 tires, but no, they are going with 4. They're going to do an air pressure adjustment and raise the track bar 1/2 around. He is tight on exit. Ray?
4 tires and no changes for the Great Clips race truck. 31 feeling pretty good. For the 30 up in pit stall 1, they want to put the track bar up 1 round. Going to try to loosen him up. 4 tires and fuel. 4 to number 30. We see these guys rolling off. Good race off of pit road. Nice round of pit stops. 1 truck hung up there. Looks like Justin Lofton.
So that may be a little bit of strategy for Cale Gale. We talked about how fast that truck was moving into the top 10.
And the hood going up on the 18. They're putting it down now, but Kyle Busch having issues once again with that 18 truck.
Yeah, that's going to really cost them all the track position. We're showing about 23 trucks right now on the lead lap.
Eric Phillips standing up on top of the pit box, taking a look at what's going on with that 18 truck. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Problems continue for the 18 team. Back on pit road is Kyle Busch. They're having ignition issues, at least charging issues with the battery, potentially the alternator.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to change the battery. Ray, what's going on down there?
Well, Phil, they changed the battery when they were in the pits this last time, but Kyle said it's no better. So we have a crew member jumped inside. They are checking to make sure there's no loose wires on the electrical boxes. Looking underneath, they are going to get another battery here and try to change it again. But right now, if they do that, they would go a lap down. So they're sending Kyle back around.
You know, on the stop before, the starter didn't work, and that time the starter worked just fine. So there's certainly some it sounds like maybe a short or connection issue with this 18 truck,
and that's what they were trying to check under the dash to make sure everything was plugged in. There's so many things, ignition boxes and everything that plugs into each other here. It's amazing. It's probably 100 foot of wire inside of one of these vehicles.
Cale Gill, your race leader, he restarts on the outside. Nelson Piquet Jr. on the inside. They bunch up at the start-finish line. 3 wide once again for the lead.
We talked about that track position that Cale Gill gained. You got to think maybe he took 2 tires on that truck. Oh!
Sauter into Kligerman.
Kligerman in the 7 on the outside of a 3 wide as they come out of turn 2 and down the backstretch.
I don't see 2 tires working very well. We'll see how Gale's able to hang on.
I think Brendan Gaughan employed the same strategy in that South Point Chevrolet. Number 2 on the inside. You see Kligerman, the 7 going by on the outside of Brendan right now.
Battle for the lead continues. Here comes James Buescher.
A little bit of damage on the back of that championship leading truck of James Buescher. You can see the right rear quarter panel has been out on it right at the rear bumper. Going for the lead though, so it must not be hurting anything so far.
We're going to be inside of Nelson Piquet Jr. Those two side by side as they work their way through 3 and 4.
I think it's safe to say we have no T-Motors there among the Turner Motorsports trucks.
None that Nelson's aware of, at least, because he's racing the championship leader really hard, pinning him down in the corners and trying to hold on to the lead.
15 1,000th of a second separated the top 2. Piquet Jr. was your race leader when they went across the stripe.
Looks like Matt Crafton's going to pull in behind Piquet and try to push him by James Buescher.
Now he's going to jump to the bottom and get behind Buescher. Piquet has the lead now.
He's able to complete that pass. You know,
take a look at the restart. Look at the 31 move up. Gets right on the back bumper of the 30.
But you can also see Matt Crafton hits the back of James Buescher, and that bent that rear bumper cover and fender. But Phil, if you're going to have, you can watch the contact here, how things get bunched up.
You saw Kligerman got in the back of the 33 of Cale Gale.
Look at Matt Crafton running around the outside of Buescher now.
How about Johnny Sauter? He's going to jump in behind Crafton to try to get by Buescher. Remember, Johnny won the race here back in June.
Remember I told you James just hoping for a nice, peaceful night, real calm race? Well, look at that right rear fender. If I'm going to have a fender bent and the right rear's bent out like that is, that could possibly create a little bit more downforce on the back and not be a terrible thing, but it also could change the balance of the truck, make the front end start to push up the hill because it's getting a little bit more downforce on the back. And we've seen James lose spot after spot. There goes Parker Kligerman to the bottom, and here comes the guy who's racing for a championship, Ty Dillon, with a lot of steam from behind.
And you say the word steam. Remember, we were hearing reports from the 3 of Ty Dillon of potentially overheating, running upwards of 280, 290 degrees as far as water temperature.
Sure, in the pit stop, they had a chance to address that, maybe scrub that grill off a little bit. You can see Kligerman makes the pass easily on James Buescher, dropping James back to the 5th spot. It looks like Ty Dillon's looking to drop him out of the top 5.
You know, James Buescher's sitting there saying, how did my race go so wrong here? And it may just be that slight contact where you can see that piece of quarter panel hanging out there. That could be enough to, as Michael said, to affect the balance, because these things are so sensitive.
Right. The other, I mean, is it in your mind that maybe you did some damage to the front of the truck because he ran into his teammate on that restart? You're thinking maybe the right front of that, the right front fender maybe got a little bent up. It doesn't look like it has any damage.
No, I don't see that as being a problem, Rick, but that truck's going going in the wrong direction. You can see the damage there to the right rear. You're thinking, well, that's not any big deal. But you have to understand how these guys get these trucks so balanced, so aerodynamically, as much pressure on the front as in the rear, and now his balance has been changed definitely, and you can see Ty Dillon just driving right up on him exiting the corner.
After the restart, Ray, have they talked about the contact that was made and the handling go away from that truck?
Well, it's gone away, Rick, for sure. And keep in mind, before we came to the pits last time, Buescher had said that his truck was going way too free. So their last adjustments were to tighten him up. Now with the damage on the truck, it's really tight. He said it's plowing through 3 and 4. We're going to have to fix this thing or we're going to be in trouble.
See, it was a combination of the adjustments they made because that truck was loose, and the fact that that piece of quarter panel poked out like that is probably giving it more rear downforce yet.
Now they come up on Norm Benning running at the bottom of the racetrack. That puts Ty Dillon up another groove, and now he's worked to the inside. 1 and 2 in the points, battling for position on the racetrack.
Remember, these guys got together back here in June, fighting for position. Got into the outside wall.
Didn't work out so great for Buescher, did it?
Joey Coulter coming into the mix now, and that One Main Financial 22 just behind these two. And look at how close they are, racing down the backstretch and into turn 3.
Coulter's going to help his teammate, gave a little bit of draft there to Ty Dillon, got Ty around Buescher, and look at the battle for second. There's some more teammates racing together.
Johnny got a little bit loose underneath Crafton there, it looked like.
They get pretty close as they go through the quad oval and into turn number 1. Sauter on the bottom of the racetrack. Crafton giving him plenty of room as they work their way through 1 and 2 now.
But not giving him that spot. He's racing him hard, trying to hold on to that second spot.
We've seen so many times, especially on these mile-and-a-half racetracks, when the trucks get very close to each other, at least side by side, the truck on the inside loses the air on the spoiler, and a lot of times we'll see the truck on the inside go around.
Yeah, and you know, the teammate mentality too. Johnny Sauter says, Matt, I drove up by you, man. Give me a break on the bottom. Matt wasn't giving him a break, and Johnny let him know he didn't like it. Gave him a bump in the door there coming down the front straightaway and completes that pass. Now Parker Kligerman will go to work on Crafton.
7 moving to the inside of that 88, trying to take the position away. Crafton has got the 3rd spot. Kligerman trying to take it away on the inside.
We talked about the 2-tire strategy of Cale Gale. He started with the lead on this most recent restart, dropped all the way back outside the top 10, back to 14th spot. So he has 2 extra tires in his pit. I bet he wished he had them on his truck right now.
For sure.
Out in front, it's Nelson Piquet Jr. once again after winning the pole earlier today. Now he has a 1.4 second lead over Johnny Sauter. Matt Crafton, teammate to Sauter, running in the 3rd spot. A fellow Toyota driver, Parker Kligerman, in 4th, and Ty Dillon, your top 5. Then Joey Coulter, James Buescher, Eric Almirola, Justin Lofton, top 9. Kyle Busch back in 10th. Now we see Buescher trying to hang on to this spot as the 5 of Eric Almirola is going to take away a position from Buescher. Ray.
Getting worse, Rick. It's getting worse. He just came on and said, guys, I've got a huge vibration. The steering wheel is trying to shake right out of my hands. We've got a bigger problem than just a little bit of aero.
Well, that could start putting a lot of pressure on that right front tire. We saw Ryan Blaney blow a right front tire earlier in the race. If he doesn't have his balance right, he's really abusing that right front tire. That could be where the vibration's coming from. And it also could be coming from Phil. He's racing for a championship.
Exactly.
He's going to feel every little vibration, every little problem with that truck. He's going to feel it. He doesn't really know what's going on with the right rear of his truck that could have changed the balance of his truck. And he's just trying to report to the team the problems he's having.
Play the crew chief role. Do you bring him onto pit road when he has this vibration, or at least feels like he does?
You got to leave that up to the driver. He knows what a loose wheel feels like. If that's what it feels like, we may need to come to pit road.
Big point implications. James Buescher struggling in Texas. Speed's coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is presented on Speed by Pep Boys. Pep Boys does everything for less. Visit PepBoys.com. Brought to you in part by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Goodyear, more driven. And by Toyota.
Rick, I believe in my heart that in order to have a NASCAR race, you ought to have a Ferris wheel. I think they just look great, add to the whole carnival atmosphere that you have at the racetrack. Heck, they got one at Le Mans. They had one at Daytona. I just love them. It gives kids something to do, too, if they if they get, well, before the race, if they don't have anything to do before the race.
Yeah. There's a few of them enjoying the Ferris wheel right here in the back stretch at Texas Motor Speedway. Nelson Piquet Jr. has a 0.4 of a second lead over Johnny Sauter. That is the gap between 1 and 2, and we just saw Nelson Piquet Jr. get a little bit closer.
Sauter's putting the pressure on. That's saw Piquet Jr. try to turn up the pace, but I like this line that Johnny Sauter's found. He's running fast, truck looks free, and he's run down our leader.
Very quickly, too. Here's a battle for third on the right side of your screen. Parker Kligerman drives by Matt Crafton to take over that third spot.
Kligerman a good lap there. Just over 31 seconds. One of the fastest laps turned. And now the 13 also trying to move forward as he's trying to hang on to that second spot. Herming.
Well, Rick, it's been a very solid night for the 13. Obviously, he started 13th, and he is, as we can see on TV, has run down the leader, Piquet, but he's picked up a push in the last 7 or 8 laps once he got within about 20 truck lengths of the 30 truck. So they're going to try to get by as fast as they can. They feel like they've got the fastest truck on the racetrack if they do not let Piquet hold them up. But so far, a solid night for the 13 truck.
Yeah, the 13 truck qualifies 13th. That probably means to DW that he's going to win the race. Anytime that happened to me, I usually would finish 13th. But Darrell likes the numerology, and Johnny Sauter's got a fast truck. Another guy that likes this 13 truck, Tim Duggar, he's a country music singer. His name's on the back of the truck, and he's cheering for his team as well. I love all the different sponsors that we have in the truck series. You know, Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff that Ron Hornaday has. This 13 truck always has different artists on the back of it. For the last month or so, Tim Duggar has been on the back of the 13 truck. You can see he pulled right back up on the back of Piquet.
Yeah, Curb Records has been on this truck all year.
And with new sponsor also on our leader. Tag Heuer has joined Nelson Piquet Jr. As his sponsor this weekend.
You know, I was talking to Nelson before the race. He's wearing night vision glasses, and he let me try them on. They're clear lenses. They're not prescription, but it makes everything look so sharp. It looks like it's a prescription lens. That's what he's wearing underneath his visor of his helmet.
Justin Lofton's trying to knock James Busher back to the 10th spot. Justin's been moving up through the field. That truck's pretty fast. He's going to make quick work of Busher, it looks like. Oh, James is going to fight back on the outside. No, Lofton finishes the pass.
I think Nelson Piquet's trying to knock the wall over coming out of 2. He has come very close twice already.
I tried that.
It's very loose.
Phil did too. You can't win that.
You're not going to win that battle.
You're not going to knock it over.
Lost every time. Every single one of them.
And right now, Nelson Piquet Jr. still holding on to a very slight lead over Johnny Sauter. What about under 0.2 of a second?
What about when we were on the 1.5 mile out of Kansas? What Nelson Piquet Jr. was able to do? Figured out how to make moves high on the racetrack and figured out how to make a pass in order to make things work out. And that's what Johnny Sauter is trying to do right now. And I like what Piquet does. He looks around. He tries to figure out where he can run that truck to hold the lead or to get the lead.
Nelson Piquet Jr.
Remember at Vegas, he set up Crafton, and then finally on the last lap made that pass work. He's a student of the racetrack. He understands what he needs to do, where he needs to put his truck to make moves. And right now his move is to hold off the 13 truck of Johnny Sauter.
At Las Vegas, he tried that pass twice. It didn't work. The third time it worked, and a little bit tight off the corner.
Very close there. Now the 13 able to get by that 99 of Brian Silas. Ray.
Piquet's won 2 races this year. The truck he's driving tonight is actually the one they used to go to victory lane for his first big win at Michigan. But I talked to Chris Carrier, his crew chief, and he said that this truck is really, really good in the early stages of a run. As they get towards the late stages, it starts to tend a little bit loose, and I think we're seeing that right now. And here goes Sauter. Sauter's going to try the bottom of the racetrack. Piquet holds him off that lap, but he is definitely getting looser in the late stage of the run.
We have seen that too. We've seen that truck get loose up off the corner, late exit of the corner. And guys, we've run as far now as we had the previous 2 runs with a little bit over 30 laps on the tires. Now this is uncharted territory so far for these guys, going more than 30 laps on this run.
Johnny Sauter definitely has a faster truck right now than Nelson, but Nelson is doing a great job of holding the lead. I think if Johnny can grab it, he'll drive away from Nelson Piquet Jr. and just isn't quite able to complete the pass.
He has to stay pinched down because Nelson's holding that high line as they go through the quad oval now. They're side by side. Looks like Johnny has the advantage this time going into 1.
We saw him run into his teammate when he wasn't able to pass him. Certainly wouldn't be shy to try that with Nelson, but he doesn't have to. gets the move entering the corner and is able to hold it through the exit.
Johnny Sauter looking for the sweep in Texas in 2012. Won here earlier this year. Now out in front of the field once again.
I think that clean air, he's going, like you said, Michael, he's going to drive away here. But long way to go in this race yet. We've just completed the 100 laps. We know now that gets us in the pit window to make it on one more stop.
Johnny Sauter looking for any bright spot on the 2012 season. Earlier this year, it was victory lane at Texas Motor Speedway. Can he garner the trophy once again here in the Lone Star State? November 15th, Speed uncovers the real Kurt Busch. Witness an unbelievable candid and personal look at NASCAR's most controversial driver, Kurt Busch, the Outlaw. November 15th, that's 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed. And brother Kyle in this race made his way back up to the 7th spot after having some issues with a battery, maybe a charging situation.
That's amazing, though. He restarted 23rd back on lap 70, and he's already made his way up to the 7th position. But guys, we've completed 106 laps. Most of these trucks stop back on lap number 66. That means we're about 10 to 15 laps away from possible on any run during this race.
Johnny Sauter out in front, has almost a 2-second lead over Nelson Piquet Jr. now. Back to Parker Kligerman in 3rd. Matt Crafton running 4th. Ty Dillon in the top 5. Again in the championship hunt, Buescher came in with a 21-point lead. Ty Dillon now running in the 5th spot. Buescher back in the 10th spot. So 5 positions there between the top 2 contenders.
Yeah, Buescher fell back to 10th quite quickly after that restart, but he's since stabilized in the 10th spot, running just ahead of Tom Bodine and hanging on to that coveted top 10 position right now.
Talked about a vibration. Told his crew, I've got a massive vibration, shaking my hands with the steering wheel. But obviously now, as you mentioned, has plateaued at the 10th spot now.
There's another truck, Phil, I think, that took 2 tires. That was Brendan Gaughan, got some track position like we saw Cale Gale. Cale Gale is in danger of going a lap down back in the 19th spot, and Brendan just dropped to the 15th position. So didn't feel like 2 tires was a good call because of all the wear that we see. Anytime there's a massive amount of wear, you don't want to get 2 tires. 2 works really good if the tires don't fall off a great deal. But Brendan's experiencing a lot of fall off right now, just like Cale Gale.
Yeah, we saw him in 30 laps lose a 1.5 seconds. Now we've gone beyond that, and they're about 1 3/4 seconds off what they were able to run on their fastest laps.
Miguel Paludo way up the racetrack now, and Brendan Gaughan following suit in that South Point number 2. Get out in front, Johnny Sauter with a 2.5 second lead over Nelson Piquet Jr.
So much success at this racetrack. Brendan Gaughan won 4 times in a row here. He swept twice.
2002 and 2003, won every race here.
There's horses for courses, and Brendan likes this course, huh?
Had it figured out. Now you see the 13 closing in on some of the slower lap traffic, so that will come into play, as will green flag pit stops potentially here at Texas Motor Speedway. We'll be back for them.
Welcome back to Texas. The number 30 has come in. They're talking about making adjustments to try to tighten that truck up a little bit. He came down pit road on lap 115. We've also seen Kyle Busch come in. Kyle Busch was in on 113 for 4 tires. The 30 goes away. Now let's go to our point leader. James Buescher is in. They're trying to make some adjustments on that truck. They're going to work on that back fender. They'll put 4 tires on this truck. James Buescher saying his entry's okay, but still fighting that vibration a little bit. He'll roll away, and he's going to have to keep an eye on the 22. Almost contact there. We see the number 7 of Parker Kligerman has come in. Kligerman talking on the radio, still very tight on entry. Now Johnny Sauter is taking the leads to pits. Let's go to Hermie.
Ray, this is about 4 laps quicker than what Joe Shear said they were coming to pit road. They were planning to come around lap 120, but they came on 117. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, no adjustments. Timothy Peters also on pit road. Ray?
Joey Coulter just got done with his pit stop. They've got One Man Financial on that truck this week. He said he really needs help on the long run. You see on the right side of your screen there is Matt Crafton. Crafton is going to come down pit road. He'll be in 1 lap later than his teammate Johnny Sauter. Let's go back to your end and check on Crafton, Hermie.
Crafton likes his truck. They want a fast stop. They talked a minute about 2 tires, but they ended up deciding to take 4 tires. No adjustments for the 88. The 3 truck also on his way down pit road, coming will be his last stop of the night. 4 tires. Ty said he wanted the same adjustment that he got last time. That's what they're going to give him. Ray?
Keep in mind, Cale Gale went with 2 tires on their last pit stop. His truck's been very, very loose. They'll put 4 tires and Sunoco fuel on it, and he'll go back to the track. They were quite sure that a 2-tire stop didn't work last time. Hermie?
The 5 of Eric Almirola has been very solid all night long. It'll be another 4-tire stop. A little bit of an air pressure adjustment for Almirola.
And as all the pit stops cycled through, Ty Dillon led a lap. So there's a bonus point that he was able to gain through all of the pit cycle that took place. Miguel Paludo out in front of the field, as our scoring monitor shows.
And I think, I believe Ray talked about the fact that they came a little earlier. Johnny Sauter came a little bit earlier than what he had planned, or Hermie talked about that. That's because Kyle Busch forced their hand. When he came in early, a little bit early, that brought everyone else down pit road because he was able to run so much faster on those new tires, and those guys out there running 2 seconds of a lap slower.
And there comes Paludo, one of the last leaders. Brendan Gaughan still hasn't pitted as well. So you're right, Phil. The only price you'll pay for that is this thing's you're going to be on older tires at the end of the race. But if you needed to get a little track position, that was a great chance to grab it. You're out there running a couple seconds a lap faster than the guys you're racing. When it all cycles through, you're going to be ahead of them. You just hope that you can hang on late in the race.
Jason White pulls down to the lower part of the track as Lofton looking to his outside. Jay White still needs to come to pit road, as does the 2 of Brendan Gaughan. And you're seeing the 7 of Parker Kligerman have to check up behind him.
That's a beautiful illustration of what new tires will do versus old tires. You saw the closure rate that Parker Kligerman drove up down the straightaway. They're dead even. Wait till they get to the corner and watch Parker drive away.
Now, as we're cycling through, Parker Kligerman is going to be your race leader as soon as Jay White comes off of the racetrack and onto pit road.
And there's the battle. Nelson Piquet goes up the hill. Johnny Sauter makes the pass there. Looked like maybe Sauter's stop was a little bit slower than some of the other trucks. Didn't really have a watch on him, but it appeared that on the left side they had a bit of a hang-up, and it cost Sauter some time, and it's also cost him the lead. Like you said, Rick, Parker Kligerman is now the guy in the front of this field.
And Parker Kligerman is going to end up with about a 4-second lead over Johnny Sauter when Brendan Gaughan comes back onto pit road. Brendan still has to make a stop. He's one of the few that are still out there from the last time they were on pit road.
Remember, we talked at the very top of the show how difficult and challenging this racetrack is, and that you also would need to be flawless on pit road. Right now, it looks like that 7 of Parker Kligerman was flawless on pit road because he was running in the top 5 when he made his pit stop, and now he emerges with a 3-second lead.
Brendan Gaughan making his way off of pit road now after that stop. After the green flag pit stops cycle through, only 12 trucks on the lead lap. James Busher right there toward the back of that lead lap pack. Winstar World Casino 350 presented by Pep Boys continues here on Speed. 19 laps remain in the Winstar World Casino 350 presented on Speed by Pep Boys. Just into the month of November, here is your points as they run. James Busher with a 15-point lead over Ty Dillon. Busher at the back of the lead lap trucks. He is running 11th, but close to be going a lap down. Parker Kligerman out in front of the field. Johnny Sauter 2 seconds back, but Kligerman took 2 tires, just the right side tires for the 7. So that could be an issue as we continue to put laps on these tires, right?
And not only, Rick, did they take right side tires, but his big problem was water temperature was going way up. They picked up a little bit of trash on the front grill. He was up at 245, but they think now he may have gotten close enough to somebody to suck that debris off. So right now he says temperature starting to go back down.
You see him trying to get by the 32 of Miguel Paludo, not able to make that pass.
I'm impressed with how well he's been able to run on just those 2 tires. I really don't think that call, I didn't think that call was the right one at all. But Parker's obviously had a really fast truck all race long, and he's holding on to that lead better than I thought he was. When he came onto pit road, though, Phil, over a 3-second lead, Johnny Sauter has now cut that exactly in half.
Yeah, he had a hard time getting by that 32 truck of Miguel Paludo. He's finally made that move, but you can see Johnny Sauter within about 12 truck lengths right now.
Our duplicolor time to shine moment. The 7 comes on to pit road. They decide it's time to shine with a 2-tire stop.
It looked like they were planning on 4 tires. You see the pit crew guys putting the left side tires over the wall, but for some reason when they come around,
watch the Jackman now. Jackman's going to try to and it looks like maybe a late call to call off 4 tires.
That's the shining moment, brought to you by Duplicolor's new Tire Shine 5X.
Just so you know, Bud, we're like right at being good. I mean, so I know it's hard to ask you to go keep running these lap times and save fuel, but anything you can save us just gonna help us.
he's fixing to have bigger problems than a little bit of a low gas tank.
Yeah.
Johnny Sauter is just about there, under a second now. Took about a second off the lead in the last 2 or 3 laps. You talked about the trouble he had battling with Miguel Paludo. You could see Sauter just drives right around Paludo, and he's about ready to drive up onto the tailgate of Parker Kligerman.
4 tires working a lot better than 2 tires right now between our top 2. Parker Kligerman out in front of Johnny Sauter. Kligerman only took right side tires. Sauter 4 tires. Herman.
Well, Rick, Johnny Sauter has really struggled in lap traffic. He's wondering if that's an omen to be able to pass this 7 truck when he gets to him. But he was running equal lap times to the 7 when he was battling with Max Gresham trying to catch the 7. But since he's passed and got clear of lap traffic, about a half a second a lap. And right now he is on the tailgate of the 7 for the race lead.
Guys, Parker Kligerman was running 3rd when that round of green flag pit stops started. You see Sauter tried to get to the outside, not quite able to do it that time, but he did get Parker loose. So if Parker loses his lead to Sauter, but stays ahead of Nelson Piquet Jr., well, then he essentially would have gained a spot by that 2-tire change.
But there's a couple of trucks still inside the top 5, one of which is one of the guys that is battling for this championship. That's Ty Dillon, that is consistently one of the fastest trucks on the track. So a late caution would bite Parker Kligerman, I believe, and Johnny Sauter's fixing to bite him too.
Right now, Johnny Sauter looking to the inside. This is for the race lead. Sauter trying to go back-to-back at Texas Motor Speedway. One earlier this year here. Now still can't complete the pass on Parker Kligerman.
These guys have a couple of seconds over the 3rd place truck of Nelson Piquet Jr., so Sauter can afford to be patient. He saw how fast he caught Kligerman. He can work on him a little bit. You don't want to burn up your whole truck here. Use your tires up making this pass in case there is a late restart.
Now to the bottom of the racetrack once again. Johnny Sauter gets to the inside and by the 7 of Parker Kligerman. Sauter back out in front in Texas.
Johnny Sauter with really a subpar year for his standards. The only bright spot was a win here in June at this very racetrack, and he may go back-to-back.
Sauter able to take the lead back from Parker Kligerman. Pit strategy working for Sauter, not so much for Kligerman here in Texas. 1 second the difference between Johnny Sauter and Parker Kligerman in the Winstar World Casino 350 presented by Pep Boys. Kligerman has dropped back to 2nd, but he still has about a 2-second lead over Nelson Piquet Jr. for that 2nd spot. Piquet Jr. holding out at 3rd. Kyle Busch is 4th. Ty Dillon coming into this championship race 2nd to James Buescher, now in the 5th spot. Buescher all the way back in 11th.
Yeah, Buescher outside the top 10, really just a couple seconds away of potentially going a lap down here.
You can see Nelson Piquet Jr. running right on the bottom of the track. He's really closing hard on Parker Kligerman for that 2nd spot. Johnny Sauter is just 7 laps without a caution. I believe he's going to win this race, but when you have a tough year, sometimes those cautions fly at funny times, and if they line these babies up on these old tires for a green-white checker, whew, no telling what you'll see.
And we've had 9 green-white checkers here at this racetrack, the most of any track on the circuit.
Johnny Sauter doesn't want to see a restart because he was black flagged at this very racetrack for jumping the restart.
He doesn't want to see one for many reasons, and you can say that's one of them, but this race is his if the caution don't fly.
Right now only 11 on the lead lap, and it's about to be 10 because James Buescher is about to go a lap down to Johnny Sauter.
I bet you James Buescher never saw this coming, Phil. The race started, he was strong, led right up front, and now all of a sudden here late in the going he's going to go a lap down.
5 laps to go. Johnny Sauter out in front, has almost a 2-second lead over Parker Kligerman.
And remember, this is a 1.5 miles. 4 times this year that 31 truck went to victory lane on mile-and-a-half racetracks.
James Busher told me earlier today, I'm not going to play prevent defense. I'm going out there with the idea to win this race. But right now, he's trying to salvage any point he can get with only a 15-point lead over Ty Dillon as they're running on the track.
Whoa. I saw top of the screen there just under the Ferris wheel. Justin Lofton barely clearing Brian Silas as they raced off turn 2.
Right in front of our leader, Johnny Sauter. Johnny's opened up almost his 2-second lead right now over Parker Kligerman with only 4 to go, though I think Kligerman is comfortable in second. I don't believe PK has enough time to catch him.
And Kligerman has done an amazing job on those 2 tires. I can't believe he held on like he did. We saw trucks, we saw Cale Gale, we saw Brendan Gaughan fall all the way out of the top 15 by putting on 2 tires. Kligerman's been able to maintain and run along in the second spot.
You know, guys, I wonder if that would have been an original 2-tire call, not taking the extra time for the jackman to run around the left side and actually start jacking the truck up. I wonder if that would have been enough to keep him in front of Johnny Sauter.
Johnny Sauter this time by 2 laps of racing to go at Texas. 3 miles remain here. Still 11 trucks on the lead lap. Johnny Sauter trying to catch that 31 to put him a lap down, trying to hang on to this lead.
I think all Johnny wants to do right now is get to that start-finish line, see that white flag, then he knows the next flag will finish this thing.
And he's coming off turn 4 looking for that white flag.
Going to put the 9 another lap down. Ron Hornaday going a lap down. White flag in the air. One more time around for Johnny Sauter.
That's one way to try to put a bad season behind you. Get to victory lane late in it.
He's going to want to come to Texas more too. Sweeps down here. If he can just make it another half a lap. He's got a comfortable lead.
Johnny Sauter looking to become just the 3rd driver ever to sweep at Texas. Brendan Gaughan did it twice. Ron Hornaday did it once. Johnny Sauter comes out of turn number 4. Checkered flag in the air. Sauter wins at Texas. Parker Kligerman hangs on for that 2nd place finish. Your pole winner, Nelson Piquet Jr., comes home 3rd.
Ty Dillon does what he has to do. He gains points on James Busher.
Just 15 back now. 6 here, 6 there. We'll need about 8 more, and it's going to be even.
Just 2 races remain now that they've taken the checkered flag here at Texas. Fireworks on the back stretch. Not a lot of fireworks today on the racetrack. Johnny Sauter able to get out front after taking 4 tires on his last pit stop. Parker Kligerman with just 2. Sauter will be the one going to victory lane, and we'll be there. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is presented on speed by Pep Boys. Pep Boys does everything for less. Visit pepboys.com. Brought to you in part by Ram Trucks, Gus, Lori, Ram. By Falcon Tire. We get you going. And by Camping World at Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. 6th career win for Johnny Sauter, taking that team back to victory lane, and he is there now. We go there with Herbie.
Johnny Sauter rolling into victory lane. They're trying to get him parked just right. Johnny getting a sip of drink. Johnny, come on out here with us. He's back in victory lane at Texas Motor Speedway. Johnny, this has been a season for you guys of if anything could go wrong, it did go wrong. But when you guys are on, you dominate, and you did again tonight.
Yeah, it's been a season of peaks and valleys for sure. Just can't thank Duke around at Thorson, Mike Herb, everybody that's been very patient with us this year. We've just, had the truck to beat, I felt, last week, and just had a lot of bad luck this year, quite frankly. So proud of everybody at Thorsport, Sealmaster, Curb Records, all of our sponsors. Toyota had a great week down at San Antonio at the Toyota truck plant down there. Say hi to all those people down there, and just awesome performance. I mean, the truck was really good yesterday in practice, and Just want to thank God, want to thank the Blessed Mother, and everybody that's made this happen.
The last pit stop, you guys took 4 tires. The 7 took 2. Looked like you ran him in, and then maybe got a little bit tight, and then made the pass. Tell us about the closing laps.
Yeah, I just made sure I didn't screw up getting on pit road. I thought we had a pretty good lead, and they said, well, you're racing the 30 for the lead, and then I got by him, and they were like, no, it's a 7. So, but I knew he took 2 tires, and it was just going to be a matter of time. The bumps were playing havoc with everybody, so grip was a premium. Goodyear tires were great. All the sponsors, you code it. iBox Springs, just everybody that makes this possible. Triad engine was flawless tonight. I'm so proud of this team. It'd be easy to hang our heads after the season that we've had, but another win. It's cool, and we just need to finish strong.
And that's a good win for us tonight. Me and Johnny Sauter in victory lane. Thank you.
And I'm guessing Hermie picked Johnny Sauter in his fantasy pick earlier today. Our Ram Guts and Glory, he talked about peaks and valleys. Today was pretty much all peaks for the 13 of Johnny Sauter.
And it's never easy. Did you see that battle right there that he was faced with? Is able to drive around Parker Kligerman late.
The celebration, the glory. Ram Guts and Glory. It had been 12 starts since the last time that Johnny Sauter was able to celebrate after a win, but it came right here at Texas Motor Speedway. The guy who finished second to Johnny Sauter tonight, Parker Kligerman. Is it Hermie?
He'll be with Ray, Rick, but I'll tell you this, we do a lot of second-place interviews with this guy, but I have to ask him, you guys ended up making a 2-tire stop, but it was sort of a last-second call. If you'd have made that as a premeditated 2-tire stop, could it have made a difference?
I hate finishing second. This truck hates finishing second. Every time we brought this truck out, it's finished 4th or 2nd. So it wants to go to victory lane, but sadly, we're going to retire this baby after this race. But Chad Kendrick, my crew chief, read my mind. I was coming on that seal and was running 3rd there. We got 2nd, and I'm thinking, all right, if we do 2 tires here and just get a huge leap on these guys, and only 20 to go, this might work. But I was like, you know what? We've caught the 13 so much there at the end of that run. Let's just do 4. And then he called the audible there, and I went with it, and I thought it was going to work out. But I was flipping blowers. I was doing all I could, moving my line, trying to, hold off Johnny, but he was just faster. And you hate to give him up, man. When you're that close to a cowboy hat and Eddie Goss's guns, you want to get it. But we'll come back stronger at Phoenix and Homestead, and we got 2 new trucks to bring there. And I'm excited because I think we gained a lot in the points, and we can go get this deal.
All right, he picked up 10 points on the leader tonight right here at Texas, guys.
Talked about points. Let's look at the Ford unofficial point standings. With just 2 races to go, 4 drivers still within a race of that top spot.
It's a great point battle.
Yeah, I think it's a 4-man race for sure. Everybody gained on James Busher.
Parker Kligerman back 27 points, but in the 4th position. Johnny Sauter celebrating in victory lane. The hat dance at Texas continues. Charlie One Horse hat for Johnny Sauter. That's the trophy here, or one of the trophies for the winner of the race at Texas Motor Speedway. The guy who's leading the points right now will have to wait until the end of the season to celebrate as largely as we're seeing in victory lane right now. Potentially, he's going to have to hang on to that point lead, isn't he, Ray?
Well, a great truck early tonight for James Busher. These guys were confident they could get a big win at Texas tonight. That didn't happen, James, but I'll tell you, these 2 races at Texas this year have been a roller coaster for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've led a bunch of laps, in the summer and tonight, and our Great Clip Chevy was fast tonight. I think the 30 was a little bit faster than us. The first half of the race, I felt like him and I were the class of the field, and he was a little bit faster because when he was out front, he was able to stretch it out, but that clean air gave me a little bit of an advantage to go a little bit faster than him. But if he would have got back in front of me, he probably would have taken off from us, and it was looking like it was going to be a decent night for us, and restarted 3rd, felt like we were in a good position. The 33 spun his tires, and Nelson had to check up. You can't beat him in the line, so it was just bumper cars from there, and got too much damage, and truck went really tight. Just couldn't turn, couldn't run the bottom, lost a lot of speed, got really draggy, so and never got a caution to try to do any repairs. So the guys did a good job getting a little bit of repairs done on the green flag stop, but just unfortunate and fortunate that we didn't lose more spots than that and came home with a decent finish and didn't give up too much.
Well, we've been saying this thing will go down to the last laps at Homestead, and I think we're right on target, guys.
15 points separate the top two as we have 2 races remaining, guys.
I just love tonight's race. The fastest in the history of the Truck Series. He had a lot of action, but Johnny Sauter just wore him down.
But we know our point contenders are on it now. We've got 2 to go here. I'm telling you, we've got a 4-man battle. James Busher, if he stumbles just the slightest bit, it brings those guys right there on top of him.
The average speed, as you mentioned, Michael, the fastest race in the history of the trucks, over 154 miles an hour. Johnny Sauter celebrates here. More post-race coverage on the other side of the break on Speed Center.